Hey, this is Frank Iero, and you're checking out MayTheRockBeWithYou.com.
Frank Iero, welcome back to Australia.
Thank you very much.
Welcome to May the Rock Be With You. Thank you for being here.
Appreciate that.
So for starters, I have to ask,
Okay.
we had a celebration, now we have patience.
Right.
What happened? Why did we change it?
Well, you know, I always felt like when you make a record, especially like a second record, you have to kind of go in and reinvent yourself as an artist and kind of rethink how you make music. What kind of music do you want to make? Like, and the band starts to change and evolve. And we put out Stomach Aches 2.5 years ago or something like that, right? And it wouldn't make sense to make the same record over and over again. And like stagnancy is death for an artist. So the pitfall is when you go into the studio and do that, you come out with a record and people are like, oh, well, that doesn't sound like the same band. It's like, I know, because we're different people now, you know? And I thought, all right, well, the way to get out of that pitfall is I have the ability to, keep my name in front of it, but every time, if the band's gonna sound different, then the band name should change. And so first time around, I felt like I needed a celebration. I needed something to distract people from realizing that I didn't know what the hell I was doing as like a front man. Like I didn't feel comfortable in that position. It just wasn't for me. So I was like, all right, well, if I bring this loud party coming along with me, then people won't really realize that I don't know what I'm doing. This time around, 2 years later, I felt like I didn't need that distraction anymore. I didn't feel deficient in that. I felt like I found out how to do this on my own terms, and I didn't have to play into this character that I thought I had planned to. So I didn't need a celebration anymore. I needed something different in my life. I needed the ability to kind of take that step back and appreciate the now and stop worrying about like 20, 30 steps ahead of me,
Sure.
So the Virtue of Patience kind of came to mind, and I thought that was a really cool band.
I like it. So in the 2.5 years since Stomach Aches, what specifically, or did anything inspire Parachutes?
Yeah, for me, I'm a big proponent of being inspired by just what's around you, like where you are in your life, and I draw a lot of I draw a lot from just everyday mundane things, the things that we kind of take for granted. I think that as silly as it sounds, like to be in tune with the universe, I think what the universe is kind of telling you and showing you around you, like these little miracles that we think of as just everyday occurrences. If you really keep your eyes open and keep your heart open, the world around you will inspire you to create. And so, those 2 years of touring and really just a different chapter in my life, like that inspired Parachutes. I think realizing who I am and where I came from and why I am the way I am was a big spark for a lot of these songs.
Cool. And did you find that you felt a bit more pressure going in to make a second album?
I think the pressure came from because when I made Stomach Aches, I didn't really intend on making a record. I was just writing songs, and they were purely selfishly just for me. Like I was gonna write these songs, record them, put them in a drawer, and that was about it. And then all of a sudden, I played them for a friend of mine, and before I knew it, like, he played for somebody else, and I had a record deal, and then I was out on the road. I was like, oh my god. So now I was like, all right, now I have to write a record that I know people are gonna hear. And do I actually know how to write just a record? You know what I mean? Like, if I didn't try to do it the first time and it just happened, like, do I know how to do it? Like, what if it just doesn't happen again? And so that was the pressure, I think, I put on myself of like, you fucked yourself now. Now you have to do something that you don't know how to do.
So what did you do differently this time around compared to the debut?
This time around, I paid a lot of attention to what I was saying and how I was saying it. I think that for me, writing a record and creating art, especially things that are very soul based and stories that have happened to me or happened to loved ones very close to me in front of my eyes. That's a hard thing to do to present to other people. So you can either veil things and or lie and try to hide from the truth, so that people don't really see into you too deeply, or you can kind of swallow that fear and be as clear as possible about what you're saying and how you're saying it, so that that idea comes across exactly the way you want it to come across. That was the approach that I took, and the more that I did that, the more that I thought about the things that I was saying and what I wanted to put across, the less scary it became, and the more anxious I became to have people hear it. It's kind of weird.
I always try and pick one track out that stands out for me the most.
Okay.
And it was Oceans.
Oh wow!
On this
Okay.
one. So is there
That's
something
awesome.
you can tell us about that song or how that came about?
Yeah, it's funny that's one of my favorite songs on the record to listen to. It started in its infancy, kind of at the tail end of Stomachaches. I think we had just released it, and then I started toying with the music that became that song, and I thought to myself that I remember thinking to myself like, oh, this would be really fun to play live. I wish I had done this sooner, but I kind of feel like songs are like relationships or like lovers. Sometimes you meet someone along the way and immediately it just sparks fly and like you guys, you were meant for each other. And sometimes you meet someone and you're like, wow, you're really special, and I think I can bring something really special to the table too, but right now, this time in our life, we're not right for each other. And hopefully we'll meet later on, down the road, or maybe, it'll just be a flaming car wreck. So that was one of those songs that I needed to kind of let her go, and I'm happy and lucky that she came back. It's about accepting love, even though sometimes you feel like you might not deserve it, and the fear that if you do open yourself up, that you'll just drown in it, and it might be the thing that kills you. The thing that you want the most is going to be the thing that kills you.
Oh. Nice message. So have you completely settled in as a frontman?
Sorry, wait.
Oh,
Yeah, it isn't. No. It is a nice one. Think about it, right? Because if life weren't so scary, it wouldn't be worth living.
There you go.
Right?
It's a good message.
I think so.
I like that one.
Right.
Have you completely settled in as a frontman yet?
I think I'm having more fun. I started out thinking that I needed to be this preconceived caricature notion that I had in my head of like what a frontman was and like the thing that you see on magazine covers, and I hated it. I just hated that idea in my head, and I was like, I'll never be that. I can't be that. Like I can't ever fake it enough to be that, And then I started to realize that was just something that I was, manifesting in my own head, and I didn't need to do that. I could be the weird, awkward person that I am, and still engage people if they wanted to hear what I had to say. And so the more that I do it, the more fun I have while doing it. I'm learning how to write songs that I'm going to enjoy playing live, and how to sing those songs and how to play those songs live. That's a fun process.
Cool.
And I think what's cool about it is that it allows these songs that I'm writing to grow and evolve as we tour, and that keeps me hungry as an artist.
Cool. And of course, you are back in Australia for some shows.
Yeah.
You were here earlier this year as well for some signings and acoustic sort of stuff.
Yeah.
How are you finding the Australian audiences this time around?
It's really rad. What I like about it is it reminds me of the States in that we're this really spread out country, right? And so we started the tour in Perth, and that audience was so completely different than, say, like the audience in Brisbane, and then same thing then to Adelaide. Like it's everyone's different, and I love that, so you don't know what to expect, and I really thought like, oh, this is gonna be like a real rowdy crowd. This is gonna be and they were like the most like polite and subdued one. And I was like, wow, but they hung on every word. It was like this appreciation for music still came through, but their personalities were so light years beyond, like different from each other. It was kind of rad.
Love it.
Yeah.
So what would you see as the biggest evolution of yourself that's got you to where you are today?
Oh man. Recently I've realized that it's easy to have the mindset of these things happen to me and they affect me in a certain way, and I react to things because these things happen to me. And I think the biggest change and shift in my my psyche is that I've realized that things don't happen to us; they happen for us. And when I kind of came to that realization, I started to appreciate the things that I saw as detrimental, and I came to realize that sometimes your weaknesses are in actuality your strengths, and that sometimes the best thing about us is the things that we think are the worst, because it makes us who we are and it makes us different from everyone else.
Cool. Now I have to ask about the Black Parade.
Okay.
Just turned 10.
Yeah.
And everyone lost their collective minds thinking the band was back together and going to tour again.
Right.
But it's a nice 10-year release.
Uh-huh.
What do you remember about that time when it came out?
I don't remember much.
All right, so
it's funny. I think when you're doing things like that, I know around that time in the band, we were very much at fault for we kept our heads down and we just worked constantly. It was always, all right, next, and we thought that, I think we thought we were doing the best thing for each other and for ourselves, and by doing that, and we didn't really take that time to kind of congratulate each other, pat each other on the back, and because of that, there was this self-imposed pressure, and it made it unbearable at times. And when you keep your head down and things are unbearable, you're gritting your teeth and going, "This is great, isn't it? Everything's great." and a lot of that happened, and I think it was just so that we could continue to go and keep our heads up and really be there for each other, even though we were probably all suffering. When I look back, I think a lot of the time we weren't happy because of that, and I think maybe it would have been nice for us to kind of take a breath. But I'm very proud of what we made together, and I feel like it's a time and a project that I will forever be very proud of, and something I can show my kids and be like, I did something really special. I remember thinking that we were doing something really important and special. I had no idea what that meant yet, but I knew there was something about it.
So what would it take to get you guys back together to do a couple of shows? Never gonna happen? Never gonna happen?
Here's the thing, right? Have you ever painted your house?
No.
You never painted a house? All right. Have you ever, not like your outside, but your like a room.
Oh, sure.
Right.
Yeah.
You paint a room, right? So you start. How do you paint it? You do like the corners, maybe like the edges, and then you go like in the middle, or maybe you just do the middle. So you start on like one end, and then you go around, and then you do that, and then you get to the other end where you started again, and then the room's painted, right? Like right now, you're not still painting that room, right?
No.
Like you finished, right?
It's done. All right,
Finish
let's
the
leave it
room.
at that. But I do have to ask one thing. Now, I know you weren't in the band for a certain part of the tour. You didn't come to Australia in
Right, yeah.
1977. But did you do the Bon Jovi tour?
We never did a Bon Jovi tour. We just did one
for
show,
them.
which was fucking incredible. Oh, no way!
Yeah,
Right
so
on.
you're from Jersey.
I am
right?
from Jersey,
You're
yeah.
from Jersey. How was it opening for like one of the biggest bands in the world in the
In New Jersey too. Yeah, it was insane. Totally insane. They were so rad and so nice to us. Like, they didn't have to be that nice to us. They came in before the show and they gave us all these like leather jackets. It was so cool. It was so Jersey. It was like if your uncle had a huge rock band and just came in and was like, all right, kids, here's some leather jackets. Like, come play these shows. And it was like, holy shit. And then you hear them play like Living on Prayer and all these just classic songs. It just felt right.
Yeah.
It was incredible.
I have to ask about that.
Yeah, that's amazing though. I
Yeah,
love that.
thanks.
That's so rad.
30-year fan, man. Now, lastly, what I do with everyone is I get them to look ahead to the future. So
Right.
when you finish your sentence for me, in 2017, Frank Iero wants to.
Oh man. Wants to be happy. I want to write a book too.
Cool.
Yeah, but now that I said I probably jinxed it. I want to smile more.
All right.
Yeah.
Sounds good to me.
Right?
All right.
Nothing wrong with that.
Thanks, man.
Thank you.